Hi, I'm Dr. M. Kamakshaya, open source software evangelist and also a freelance full stack developer. For the past few video sessions, I've been talking about web applications using full stack Python. I've been trying to explain proof of concept for various web applications. I really never talk anything about how to manage databases using Python while developing web applications. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use a very handy in-memory database management software application known as SQLite. So if you want to know more about SQLite, you just have to go to your browser and search for SQLite. I think right now we have SQLite 3, version 3. You have a lot of documentation here, and why I'm going to use SQLite, because this is very portable software application, and which is mostly preferred by the web developers for testing. But for development, there are quite a few other opportunities. I mean, software alternatives like PostgreSQL, MySQL kind of, but all of them have kind of problems while embedding them inside a web application. But SQLite is really very handy while using it, because I never met with any kind of error but other applications it takes quite a bit of time to configure for. You have a lot of content online as how to use these databases, and people feel differently while it comes to databases. My alternative may not be your alternative, but I like SQLite because it just works. That's it. I can't tell anything more than this. We are going to make use of SQLite, but for using this SQLite inside web application, you need to do one thing. You should see that you have pip, a particular Python package called SQLAlchemy, and as well as Flask. If you're watching this video, I'm sure that you must be knowing about Flask, because I'm just going to make use of Flask for developing web application in this video. You should ensure both Flask as well as SQLAlchemy. You can go online and search for SQLAlchemy. Sorry, my keyboard is not good, and you should excuse me for my mistakes while typing. This is the object. SQLAlchemy is one of the software. I don't know it is a software, but it is one of the applications available just as ORM is object relational mapper. It is written here. Actually, you can see object relational mapper. This is a new kind of trend in software development while dealing with database management software applications. RDBMS kind of thing. This is a highly advanced as well as really very much helpful. You don't need, like you will be working with. One fundamental difference between RDBMS and ORM is that ORM really gives us the strength of using the native programming language. In this case, I'm going to use Python. So ORM enable us such a way that we don't really need to write the SQL statements inside our application. We can just talk to our application, create our application so that we are writing these statements just like Python statements. So that is one fundamental advantage of having this SQLAlchemy. You have a lot of online documentation. You can just go. If you want to install that, pip install Flask SQLAlchemy or SQLAlchemy, something like this. You just have to. I installed already, so I don't need to install this. And you also have to ensure the Flask. So I assume that you know some fundamentals or basics of Flask. One of the very popular and also highly user-friendly micro frameworks available for Python community. Without much description, let us get into the action. I created a dummy directory. I don't have anything inside this, and this is how your folder structure need to look like this. Suppose if you see I have login demo kind of thing, cd say login demo, and now directory. See, this is how your folder structure should look like. I have a templates folder, and inside that I have a Python file. So now I'm just going to transfer this to my I'm going to use Atom editor for this application. In Atom, what I need to do is that I just have to drag and drop this folder inside the Atom, so that you will get all your project files inside the Atom. Now it is open for your convenience. I mean, the app.py is already open for your convenience, and we just have to start. My strategy for this application is going to be like this. I'm just going to create a user interface where the users can register their username, email, password, something like that. I mean, this is one of the very important and also imperative mechanism which we find most of the time while dealing with web applications. Many times we do need to register and log in, just like Facebook. You have any kind of the Twitter or maybe Instagram, wherever you want to, LinkedIn and all. If you want to make use of their resources, suppose Facebook is a software application in their server, and if you would like to make use, which is very famous social media platform, it is just an application inside Facebook server, and whenever you touch their you open their application, it will ask you for registration as well as login, and once you register, then it will go for next time you'll sign in and you enter inside their organization. This is just an authentication system in every application. So registration or login is quite common things today. Suppose if I am creating an infrastructure for some certain organization, maybe a business firm or maybe an academic institute, and it is quite natural to have some registration and login kind of thing. So in this video I'm going to show you how to create a very basic application for registration or for login, and I'm just going to show you how to play with the data once after the users register their data. So without much ado, let us get into the action. I'm just going to create the basic program for my application from Flask import. I'm just going to make 3 imports: Flask, and then render template. I'm sorry, sometimes I do mistakes while writing the render template and request. Okay, and now app is equal to Flask. I'm just going to initialize or instantiate Flask application. This is how we do that activity. And now, since we are going to use a very popular and also highly user-friendly database application, it is an RDBMS kind of thing, which is SQLite, and we need to mention a couple of statements related to this software application. They are app config, and now I'm sorry, I also have to import from Flask _ SQLAlchemy. I'm sorry, my keyboard is not good, as I said. I'll be doing mistakes while typing statements. Flask SQLAlchemy import SQLAlchemy. So this is how the first 4 letters should be uppercase and the remaining letters should be in lowercase. SQLAlchemy, something like this. And now let me differentiate our app configuration. Okay, I already have, I think. Okay, config. Now here I should say all caps SQLAlchemy. I don't know why it is coming SQLAlchemy database URI is equal to, here you need to be a bit cautious. We have to write SQLite and colon, and I'll put 3 forward slashes, which means I want to create the database inside my project folder. If you put 4, this is called absolute path address, in which case you can create your database anywhere in your computer, but that path for that database file should be indicated in order to avoid all problems while working with. I don't want to make my project fussy. In order to keep my project clean and slender, I would like to create the database file inside my project, and in that case what I'm just going to name this as register.db, and I'm going to tell you how to. Now there is one more thing, and this we'll do later. SQLAlchemy. Okay, that is sufficient. There are a couple of other statements which you can also avoid them. Now I'm going to create a route. This is the server address, and this address is going to be the address of the Flask. Flask usually open the server at 127.0.0.1 colon 5000. 5000 is the port, something like this. And I think you should be knowing, because if you are watching this, you should be http colon / 127.0.0.1 colon 5000. And when I put / this is precisely means this one. So when we open the application, and this / is what is the address of the server. Okay, something is going to be like this. Okay, now I'm going to add some logic to this route. That is going to be, I just call index, because this is just going to be an index, registration page. And here I just return register.html. And we don't need to, we'll come back and see what do we need further here. And let me finish my app. If name is equal to main, and then this is going run the app run debug. I'm going to open in debug mode, so that whenever we change the program, those changes must be reflected instantaneously in the application. That is what is the meaning of this statement. Now if everything is okay, now since we defined a HTML file here, we need to create that file inside the templates register.html, and in this we are just going to put our UI, which means the users are going to see this page, not this application. This is a server running behind the user interface, and now we are going to write UI for this registration page. Here there are enormous opportunities for a designer, because UI is, there are endless ways to design user interface. There are quite a few popular programming languages like HTML, CSS, JS, jQuery kind of thing. But I'm just going to make use of basic HTML in order to define this. I'm going to design my user interface in such a way that I would like to have a text input for username, a text input for email, a text input for password. Okay, now all of them should be inside a form, right? And now this form is going to redirect soon after we finish submission of the, if the user after submitting the details for registration, user should be redirected to some other page, and I just call it as I think register is good thing. I will change this. Register is not a good thing. This I call login. No. I think register. Sorry, I'm confusing you. We'll call it as a message. Okay. No need of message. Okay, message. This message is just okay. Now there will be a name here. Okay, let me first write the. I'm going to create a text input, and this is going to be the username, and now the value, no value for this. Now I copy the entire statement, compute, copy email, password, and then an input for submission. Submit. So all of them should be inside. Please be cautious. They must be inside the form group. Now this is going to be email, and then this is going to be password. That is sufficient for now. And here the name must be email, and here it should be password. These names we are going to use inside the server logic. I'm going to show you how to. Now stop it here and let's see what's going to happen. Okay, we'll go back to think we are in the project directory python app.py. Yeah, no module name Flask. I said I will be doing quite Flask because my keyboard is not good. Flask. Okay, now I think, yeah, server is running. Now let us go to the 127. You can just call it as localhost if you are confusing. Restore HTML. Oh my God. There is a big return render template. Render template registered HTML. Okay, now let's. Yes. Now, as I said, there are endless opportunities to design your form. Now, since this looks like very murky, isn't it? But I'm just going to make a table inside this table. In this table, I make a row for atd for name, and then another. In this row, there is a name as well as the input. No, let me finish this. Okay, let me copy this and paste a couple of times because we have three kind email, and now this is going to be inside that email. This input I should put it here, right? And I don't want this break statement here because anyway this is I think it is just going. This is going to be a bit lengthy, so you need to bear with me. Lengthy video cast, and you have to bear with me for. I think here we need to have that, and this is going to be password. You have to be patient with me because I'm going to. This is not a simple. I'm just going to talk to you very influential topic. Now, is it everything okay? I don't know. I should say table first name, and then you have name, username, and then you have email, and you have password, submit, and this submit button should be inside the. And now here, let me give a little bit of CSS. Style is equal to text align. I will get it center so that the entire page will be rendered. Okay. Style equal to text align center. I don't know, I'm just trying to do. No, it's not coming. Okay, it's alright, fine. Let me I think I need to put style parameter here, that is um, style display inline table, and now I should be able to get this. You'll get, now we got the table, so everything is aligned properly. This is how I would like to, otherwise name will be this side, email will be that side, and all everything. Now it looks a bit, this is the registration page, and we can also add a lion h3 register here, something like this. So there are, as I said, there are endless opportunities in order to design your user interface. There are quite a few programming languages and also ideas. Now this is sufficient for present, and I'm going into the logic part. Now as and when we submit data here, suppose if somebody register with their username and email password and submit, that should go to the database. Now what we need to do is we have to define a class, and in Python, while defining the class, we have a peculiar statement called class, and this is going to be the name of the class. I assign a name register to this class, and this is going to be db.model. This is actually the inheritance, called inheritance in object db. What is this db? db is SQLAlchemy. It's an app. Now this db is this one. Okay, so this is something to do with this is an object related to SQLAlchemy. This is okay. Now I'm going to define an ID, and that is going to be db column, and inside this db, this is going to be integer, so obviously, and this is going to be primary key is equal to true. Now there will be username, and this is going to be db.column, and now db string, and we'll tell how many username, maybe 20 characters. There are quite a few other options here. You can what do you say that nullable, false, okay, and many other options that you can find later. This is just a basic application. I'm not talking about advanced concepts. I'm going to make one more column in our database, that is going to be email db.column db.string. the email is also going to be string, and this is going to be 30. I don't know, you have to decide yourself. Now password, and this is going to be db.column db.password is going to, for time being, I'm just going to make it as a string, and this is going to be 20. And then I think we've done everything. We need username and email and password. Here username, email and password. Now we have to define a method that is going to be define rep, or this is a special magic method. So we are just going to define what this database, I mean this class, is going to return whenever we execute any statement related to SQLAlchemy, something like this. And now return, this is going to be f string. If you don't know what is f string, you need to study a bit more about this. And now register, it is going to, I'm just going to return self dot username, and then I just copy this. No, frankly speaking, actually you don't need to define this method. You can just leave class as it is, sorry, here to make use of this SQLite database. But I would like to give a little demonstration as how to make use of this class while creating data and ingesting that data into this database. Okay, and I also want to return email, and I don't think we need password. Password is secret anyway, so whenever we are working with this register, we need to get back. This class is going to return the username and email. That is sufficient for us right now. And now let us close this. Yeah, just close it. Everything is okay. Now let us go back and concentrate on our. So I'll stop here and let us show you how to create this database in our computer. Please remember that the name of the database is going to be the register. Now I'm going to show you what is the advantages of dealing with this ORM, uh, which is a SQLAlchemy in this application. Now once you create let me close this server. Now you should be inside your project. I will clear. Okay, you should be inside your project folder, then start Python. Now you have opened your Python REPL inside the project folder. Now this app is available for your work. Now from app import db. If you see immediately there will be a change in your project structure. Now this is what actually, if you don't want, this is just a warning. You don't need to, suppose if you don't want to display this warning message, then you have to copy this and you have to come back to your project. You have to say app config. Many times we don't like to see the warning false. This is what you have to do. And now anyway we had created. Now I am going to create from app import this register. Now this one we have to import this class register. Now immediately after importing the class, you need to execute a function called db create all. Now please be conscious. After I execute the statement, you should be able to see a database file being created inside this project folder. Okay, enter. Now you see you'll get this folder register.db, something like that. You don't need to worry what is there inside. And now what is going to happen, I'm just going to, this is sufficient. You can just stop here. You can just do a couple of experiments with this db. Suppose if you want to create a user, and that is going to be user is equal to, now whatever we are going to do hereafter is just Python. We are not going to, actually if you want to create a user, you need to know how to execute SQL statement, just like create table, and the schema of the, you need to have a design to create a table, and that is called schema. And the schema is going to have the names and values, and everything is a strategy. Now the advantage of this SQLAlchemy, since it is ORM, object relational mapper, we don't need to know anything about SQL. We can execute SQL statement as in Python style. Register. Now the username is equal to, let's say, mk, which is my name. Email is equal to mk@email.com, and then password is equal to password. So since this is just a ridiculous application, I just wanted to use the dummy value. Now we created a user. Now soon after creating the user, what we need to do, we have to add this to session, db session add user. Okay, now db session commit. Now this user is there inside this db. Let's see if now any moment if you go back and use the user, it is user, right? Register, that is the class. Query, let's see what is there. This user is there inside this database. Register is a database right now we are querying. And suppose if you have two users, like this is user 1, Okay, let's say I call user1. This time I say ms password, and now same way you need to add user1 and then commit, and then you put a query. Now let us use the query. I don't know where I'm going. Register query all. Now you have two users inside. Now let us save this like in Python fashion. Users is equal to okay, register query users is equal to register query all. And now if you press users, you have the two of them. Now users, this is, you see a list, you have square brackets here. Users, we are going to index. I use 0 at 0, I have mk. Now if I put username, it is mk, and at 1, suppose if I use 1 here, username, this is ms. You see all these things we can make use inside our app. Now one final thing, whenever you're, this is just a rough values, I don't want to make use of them. I wanted to create through our user interface. Now if I want to get rid of this database, then not the entire database but this particular table register, then db dot drop all. Now go back to users. You still have drop db dot, users is a Python object. You still have users, del users. Now users, you don't have anything. Now let us go to user. You still have user because this is Python object, it is not a database object. Let us query from database register, because we got rid of that query dot all. Now we should not be able to get anything. Python throw error because you don't have anything inside that. That table disappear. Now you need to do one thing. You just create the table, create all, and now just leave this. I get rid of this. Now suppose sorry. Suppose we recreated entire. Now from app import db. Now db, let us register dot query dot all. If I use this, register is not defined. db dot create, oh sorry, from app import register. Now register dot query, you see it is empty list. This is what I would like to show you. Now we don't have any information inside our database. Please be cautious and don't think that I'm just trying to do some gimmicks. There is no gimmick behind this activity. Now let us create a route, and in this route we are going to redirect our user created registration details. I call this as register. Okay, and then I am going to add some logic to this register, and here we use all the logic. Okay, once the user, we have to use methods because we are going to post the data in this route, get post. Now so we post data, and soon after we post, if request, I think I have request here, right? Request method is post. Okay, and then users is equal to register, no, post, then take the data from the form. Username is going to be request dot form, and that is username. Now I just copy these statements. So what we are trying to do, we are just getting data from our form. When the user submit this data, we are just going to get this data into logic, which means server file. Password is password. Now we create a user, and that user is going to be register. Same thing which we did inside Python REPL. Username is equal to username, and then email is equal to email, password is equal to password. Now this username is this one. Okay, we don't need to define ID because ID is automatically created whenever user register. This username is the column name in the database, and this username is the data which we are getting from the front end user registration. Okay, now we have to ingest this data into db.session add user, right? db.commit db session commit. Okay, now we need to soon after users register their details, we have to redirect them. Return you are successfully registered, something like this. So say all the best. Now I forgot one thing. We have to copy this and put it here in the form action register. I think we got a conflict here. This is index, this is register, yes, and this is going to be, yeah, I think it is not good thing to I call index. It's not the best practice to call this as rename index. So that is what I was confusing in the beginning of the. Now say all the best, and if everything is, oh, let us get out of this. Now we are in the project directory python app.py. Yeah, server is running, because which means we don't have any problem in our. I'll refresh. Yes, it is still going on. I call mk at email.com and then password. Okay, method not allowed, which means we have failed to mention the methods here. I just copy this HTTP. These are called HTTP request methods. We need to have methods to request data to create an HTTP request. Now let's go back, refresh, submit. You are successfully registered. We are registered, but we don't know whether we really registered or not. In order to get that data back, we need to create one more route. That is going to be users. I'll create one more method in the server, and this method is going to fetch all the details of the users. I call it as users. We don't need get post because we don't have any forms here, and it is called users. And now users is going to be register.query.org, and that's sufficient for now. Return render template. Here I'll put users. I'm going to create a HTML file. I'm in front end. Users is equal to users, and this users I'm going to redirect to this front end UI. And now we need to create this template here. Okay, now since the variable is users, I'll just use, this is how we use Jinja logic. Since this is this users is actually data which is coming from the server, we need to redirect the data into the front end, which means user interface. This is just a simple HTML page which user is going to see. I just write like this is the way we get the data from the server and keep it in the UI. We need to use two curly braces. This is called Jinja logic. Now save everything, registering query all and use. Let's see if we can go back. This time I write ms so that we'll have multiple instances inside MS and password. Successfully registered. Now I'll go back to, I'll convert my users. Since we have, you see, we got the successful. We got all the data. This is what is the data inside our database table inside the register. Now this is not, this doesn't look better. I just want who are the users available in the database. Now what I need to do, I can just manipulate my Jinja program. Instead of putting users here, what I just do is I use a for loop, and as per Jinja rules, we need to use curly brace followed by percentile symbol for I in users. This users is coming from the backend logic from here. Okay, please be cautious. Now for I in user, just put I dot username. Okay, now and for loop and for, I'll just make a bit okay. Now if everything is correct, you see we got 2 users, because 2 users registered here. I'll put break statement here, HTML break tag, so that it looks a bit you got MK and MS. And this time let us go back and make another name. I call this, there is a third user coming inside into, the third user is going to register. I think our server is running. Then what is the problem here? Okay, MKMS, what do you mean? Okay, I don't know. 127 and here we got this time I call amu, and then amu at email.com, then same thing, password. It doesn't matter. Okay, you are successfully registered. Now let us go to users. You got MKMSM or something like this. Okay, now you can play with your data in any fashion you want, any way you want. So this is how we can just make use of database RDBMS software applications inside. I used SQLite 3, which is very popular and also quite handy while creating web applications just like this. And Python has got object relational mapper such as the one SQLAlchemy. This is highly useful for web developers. Okay, this is all for now to this video. If you like my video, please press the like button. Stay tuned for new content, and kindly don't forget to subscribe to my video channel. Thanks once again.